Belal Muhammad came to compete. Jack Della Maddalena came with a knife. That was not a fight, guys. That was a dissection. And it was Jack Della Maddalena who went home with the title. The new champion, Jack Della Maddalena, the new king. I loved it, man. What a fight. He's the king. He defeated Belal Muhammad. Not just like, oh yeah, that was a good one. He convincingly beat Belal Muhammad. Never once did he look out of his depth in that fight. I mean, from bell number 1 to the final bell, Jack Della Maddalena was like, okay, we're good. Even the round or two that Belal Muhammad won, it was like, yeah, Jack Della Maddalena's not out of this. And sure enough, here we are, Jack Della doing the thing. So what a fight. Actually a decent night of fights. UFC 315, a really good night of fights. We've got a new king. Valentina boringly won. Jose Aldo retired, which is kind of sad, but yeah, great night of fights. So this fight, you know, there's points in time where you know like a fighter's great, and we didn't really like know that with Jack Della Maddalena. You know, he was like, oh, you know, the Gilbert Burns fight, he's gonna have some trouble there. He went to split decision with Kevin Holland. Yeah, he's a good fighter, but I don't know if he's gonna have what it takes. He showed I've got what it takes. Now, book nerds, Mike Tyson, Iron Ambition. Links in the description, so go check it out. Read you mongrels. This book right here, fantastic. Mike Tyson's telling the story of Cus D'Amato through his eyes and what he's heard stories from Cus. And there he talks about Floyd Patterson. Now, if you don't know, Floyd Patterson was the first champion that Cus D'Amato trained up. And he knew Floyd Patterson was great, but it was important for him to be great in great moments. And like when Floyd Patterson, he became the youngest heavyweight champion, which is crazy because like Cus D'Amato trained Floyd Patterson to be the youngest heavyweight champion, then he trained Mike Tyson to be the youngest heavyweight champion. It's safe to say like Cus D'Amato knew who he was talking about, but you have to be great in great moments. And when he rematched, Floyd Patterson rematched Ingemar Johansson, like even if he got knocked down, like the fight was just a brawl, and Floyd Patterson knew when to be great. And Jack Della Maddalena knew what he had to do and knew he had to be great. His coaches knew that they had to be great in this fight because Belal Muhammad was going to come as the champion. He's the champion for a reason, even if, you know, he might be a little bit fraudulent and based off styles and stuff, but we'll get into that in a minute, right? I felt like Jack Della's takedown defense was much better in this fight. You know, we know Belal Muhammad's going to come to takedown, even though he's talking about the Canelo hands, and he doesn't quite have the Canelo hands in that. He wasn't going to shoot. We knew he was going to shoot. Jack Della Maddalena knew he was going to shoot, and Belal Muhammad did shoot. And when Belal Muhammad got to the hips against the fence, or even got Jack Della Maddalena down, it didn't matter because Jack Della Maddalena was like, okay, we're going to work up. There was a giggler sweep in there, which, if you don't know, that's where you elevate with one foot and you sweep out the opposite leg with the other foot. Really cool sweep. Jack Slack absolutely loves it. But it is a great sweep, and he did that to get up at one point in the center of the cage. You know, against the fence when Belal Muhammad was pushing, he'd get his hands like he would try for a hip throw. And that would throw, you know, Belal Muhammad to the side, and he'd be able to escape out the other end. So like the grappling was really improved. I was like, man, this is a really good performance from Jack Della Maddalena here. And he showed that he has what it takes to be a champion. And everybody's thinking like, oh, Shavkat's, you know, he's the next champion. Or Sean Brady can be the next champion. Belal Muhammad's going to run through him. Jack Della Maddalena's it. The striking was on point too. A lot of the things he did was great. Like he was always exiting at an angle, making sure he wasn't on the center line, and that really gave Belal Muhammad fits. When Jack Della Maddalena enters at an angle and then he exits at an opposite angle, he's not there to be hit consistently through the fight, and that really wore on Belal because the more strikes you miss, the more tired you get, and Belal was missing all night. Actually, let's go over to the web here real quick. I want to take a peek at the stats there for Belal Muhammad because I want to see what his striking percentage was in that fight, because I guarantee you it wasn't that great. 41%, that's not terrible, but 155 out of 349. You know, it wasn't great, but he kept missing a lot, and it was when he missed that Jack Della Maddalena really made him pay. I I think that fight was just one of those things that was just, you know, he was measured for 5 rounds. I didn't know what to think about him, you know, in a 5-round fight for the first time after a year off with some injuries. Like, man, it's going to be okay. But he really wasn't going out there to bang out Belal Muhammad. Instead, he's in there, he's touching him up, he's landing. And I mean, he did damage. Belal Muhammad had a broken orbital, lip was split, and he had something else. Broken orbital, split lip, and something else. Regardless, he just pieced Belal Muhammad up all night. And it's weird because, like, you watch Belal Muhammad fight, like, Leon Edwards, who is a striker, right? And you're like, how can Belal Muhammad not do this, you know? And we mentioned this in our pre-fight episode. You can go back and listen to it. I got the receipts, baby, right? The styles make fights, and Jack Della Maddalena is fundamentally different from Leon Edwards. So Leon likes to set the terms of engagement himself. He likes to say, all right, we're going to fight when I'm set. And how Belal Muhammad beat him in that fight was, oh, okay, I'm going to stay in your face to where you can't set over and over. Sean Brady did the exact same thing. It worked magnificent for him. Jack Della Maddalena, what he would do is, oh, you're coming in? Okay, watch. Here's this nice stiff jab from both southpaw and orthodox. He does both stances. And then he exits at the aforementioned angle we talked about. I really liked the performance from Jack Della Maddalena here. Now, obviously, everybody's talking about Islam is next. Islam is next. And I get that. Islam Makhachev is the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter. I don't want him to be next because I really want to see like Sean Brady or Shavkat Rakhmonov. But Jack Della Maddalena is going to have a tough time ahead of him. Islam Makhachev may beat Jack Della Maddalena. Now, Islam's a full-time southpaw. Jack Della can fight from either stance, kind of like Volkanovski. I think he fights a little bit better from both stances than Volkanovski does, whereas Volkanovski's tricks from each stances are a little bit better. The kind of the shifting kick to lead hook that he does. But the story behind this, the built-in revenge with Alexander Volkanovski losing twice to Islam, the second fight being so brutal, that first-round knockout, you know. The built-in revenge story is great, and Jack Della's playing this up like, yeah, I'm going to get revenge for Volkanovski in this one. I think Jack Della can win. It's about a 50-50 fight for me right now. I haven't looked at like opening odds to see kind of who's the favorite, but it's about a 50-50 chance. How can he win? Well, obviously exiting at an angle. He can look off of what Volkanovski did to have great success. You know, when Islam Makhachev, in the first fight at least, got the takedown, you know, he made it hard to get, tired him out. Jack Della's going to hit the body well, so we know that. But also you could look to like Poirier and stuff too, had really good scrambles in that. I think Jack Della has a tough task ahead of him, but I do think the size is going to play into his advantage. I know Islam Makhachev's huge. I know he's giant, but you know, he wasn't that big. Like Jack Della's probably coming down from like 190, 200 pounds, so Islam won't have that big size advantage that he's used to having. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'm actually looking forward to that. It's a really fun matchup. Now, Belal Muhammad made some mistakes in this fight, and we kind of touched upon them already. But, you know, he fought great, and Belal Muhammad, you know, caught a lot of flack coming into this fight for being a boring fighter, and that criticism is justified. You know, he's put on some stinkers. The Leon Edwards fight was fun because of the stakes, but like in a vacuum, that fight's not that great. He's kind of a volume puncher, a cardio kickboxer, and I mean that in all the respect, you know. This fight, though, Muhammad came to fight, but that goes to show you, like, styles make fights. I think where Belal Muhammad really messed up the most was wanting to prove a point with his hands. He talked about the Canelo hands. Oh, I've got Canelo hands, yada, yada, blah, blah. He really didn't think that he can go in there and strike with Jack Della Maddalena. Do you think he actually thought that? That's absurd. That's a crazy proposition. Like, yeah, I think I got this. I'm like, no. What are you doing? No. Brother, please, no. No. He did it, though. And he didn't wrestle early, too. And that really let Jack Della Maddalena kind of start running away with the fight, especially with the first 3 rounds. So, you're not going to outstrike Jack Della Maddalena. you're not going to wrestle with him early, so he's going to be more fresh early on. And then his volume was actually super low. And I can't fault Belal Muhammad for the low volume, because every time he did try an exchange, he's getting smashed in the face. We saw the picture of you can go online and see the picture of the lip. He's like beat up. The volume was low because he was flustered and he didn't know where to go with the strikes. Like, he knew against Leon Edwards, like, I can get in front of him and kind of get in his face and it'd be, okay, because Leon's not going to throw back. But what happens when they throw back? Well, Belal gets beat up. 9-fight unbeaten streak broken. Championship title lost. Now in the back of the queue. I don't know what's next for Belal Muhammad. Maybe the winner of Usman versus Buckley. That would be an interesting fight. Kind of get one of them in the contention. Ian Machado Gary would be a fun one. But at the end of the day, his title reign was kind of a fever dream. Like, oh my God, Belal Muhammad's the champion. What are we doing? But, people are calling him a fraud. And, I wasn't the biggest fan of Belal Muhammad, okay? I'll say that. I didn't think he was an interesting fighter in the least bit. I thought, he's just this latest cardio kickboxing kind of type thing. But I don't think he was a fraud, much like we were talking about last week with Bo Nickel being, fraud checked, but he wasn't really, because Renner DeRitter's a good fighter. Belal Muhammad won the title fair and square. Like, Leon Edwards was the champion. Its styles make fights. And after that last fight with Leon Edwards, Belal Muhammad kind of built a style around Leon Edwards. But that's not very great for him, because when he comes up against somebody that's not Leon Edwards, we get this kind of a result. Not all strikers are the same. Jack Della Maddalena is fundamentally different from Leon Edwards. Again, he's not worried about the setting at his own terms and stuff. Jack Della Maddalena, that is. Instead, he's like, okay, we're going to fight here. Great. As long as we're fighting in the center of the ring, because he did that the entire fight, right? As long as we're fighting in the center of the ring, I'm fine. Where does he go from here? Like, with Islam coming up, like, he's going to fight for the title, really? Because they wouldn't fight each other before. So with Islam coming up, like, is he going to fight Shavkat Rakhmonov or Sean Brady? Like, the rematch with Brady would make sense. But not really, because, like, Brady can wait out and get the title shot of Islam and Jack Della, Shavkat needs to recover. So he's not going to be in there for a title shot. And if he is, it's going to be like a great betrayal. But, like, Ian Gary's another option. I don't know. I don't know where Belal Muhammad can go from here. He's 36. He'll be 37 eventually. Eventually, hopefully, right? Like, hopefully he doesn't kick the bucket. That'd be tragic. No hate to Belal. That was a really good performance by him. I thought his boxing needed a lot of work, and I don't think he's, as elite as he wanted to be. But he did earn the title outright, and I don't think that saying Belal Muhammad didn't earn the title is... That said, Valentina, boring as she is, earned the title, earned the win. I got this one completely wrong. Whoa, I get it wrong. I thought Manon Fiorot was going to come in here and put on a great show. Bigger, better jab, longer reach, and she had nothing for Valentina Shevchenko. It was crazy. Now, granted, Valentina Shevchenko's not the best anymore. Not even in like the least bit, honestly, if we're gonna be honest. But when I'm watching her fight, like, Valentina Shevchenko's not like on her feet. She bounces up and down, but like her feet are literally planted onto the ground. Now, I'm not foot watching Valentina Shevchenko. Like, I'm legitimately analyzing how she fights guys. I promise I'm not looking at her feet. I promise, boys. But like, she's just bad. She makes no effort to really move around the ring. But then, like, does it matter? Because she wins. For like the first couple rounds, she was getting in there and getting kind of beat up a little bit. Manon Fiorot was doing a really good job, but the flat-footedness just really bothered me in this fight. I don't know why. We saw the mistake against Alexa Grasso where she turned her back and got her back taken, and remember the shit nut crank or whatever we call it. I just don't have any interest in Valentina Shevchenko anymore. She's 37, so like her time's limited. But I think like what we learned from this fight really was like mainly about Manon Fiorot. Like, she doesn't have the experience to win a fight like she had that night. You know, she's gone 5 rounds before. You know, Rose Namajunas, I think, was a 5-rounder possibly. Erin Blanchfield was a 5-rounder, and she looked good in those 2 fights. But when a fighter's not one-dimensional, like, she struggled, and she just kind of... Manon Fiorot didn't have the experience that was needed to win this fight. Now, like, Valentina's been in multiple 5-round fights, loads of them, because she goes to the decision with just about everybody. She's been to the decision twice against Amanda Nunes, you know, so she's fought some of the best ever. Joanna Jędrzejczyk she's fought, you know. Valentina Shevchenko has some really good wins. Let me pull up, see her resume, because I mean, she's beat a lot of people. Alexa Grasso she beat, which we can call that. She beat Jessica Andrade pretty convincingly. Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Holly Holm she's beat. That's about it. Maybe not that great of a resume, boys, if I'm being honest with you. But no, like, I think Shevchenko is just got more experience. Now, this is going to be very valuable experience from Manon Fiorot. She did come in and she fought hard. She fought okay late. But, like, you know? So what's next for Valentina? Like, Zhang Weili? Zhang's a much better opponent than anybody Valentina's fought, except for maybe Amanda Nunes. She has the striking. She has the speed. I think it's a really good fight. And I think it's one that Valentina can either make or break her legacy on. Because, like, she's fought one GOAT already. She hadn't fought Rose Namajunas because Namajunas can't seem to piece a win streak together to save her life. Zhang Weili coming up might be the best option, you know, and I like that. So give me that fight. I hope Zhang Weili wins it. That'd be great for her to dethrone Valentina, become a 2-weight champion. I like Zhang Weili a lot more than I like Valentina Shevchenko, though. And UFC 315, like, just further exasperated that. Now, Jose Aldo, sayonara. One of the GOATs, Jose Aldo, hung him up after a sad, pathetic loss to Ayman Zahabi. I felt like he was winning that fight. I scored that fight for him, even not giving him that 3rd round. I gave him the first 2. He was winning that fight, guys. Winning it. Poor Jose Aldo can't get out of his own way. 3rd round, he's like, okay, so round 2 was close. We can kind of, you know, put out a little effort in round 3. And we know he gasses hard. And he catches, he throws a knee, then comes over the top, and like just chases down Ayman Zahabi for not even a minute. By the end of that, Zahabi survives, and Aldo looks up at the clock. 3 minutes left. Oh my gosh. He's gassed at 3 minutes, and we know Aldo's cardio is not great. I mean, that's the whole Holloway fight, you know? But when he looked up at the clock, that was like his giving up moment. And I know we don't judge fights as a whole here in the UFC, but man, he just laid on his back until the fight was over and got beat up pretty bad. Was bleeding, and that cost him the fight. Because he could have not, like, ran it. Like, he was literally sprinting across the cage at Ayman Zahabi. A couple soccer kicks while he wasn't all the way down. It was beautiful. I'm like, yes, get the win, Jose, get the dub. And that cost him the fight. And he gave up. And you could kind of tell he didn't want to be there, like he said. Sucks. Because Jose Aldo is a legend of the sport. One of the best ever. Lost to the 3 best fighters of all time he's fought. You know, the 3 best fighters he's ever fought. You know, Volkanovski, Holloway, and Conor McGregor. But Jose Aldo's been around for forever. He's finally hanging him up. I think it's for real this time. Because he just doesn't want to fight. I get it. So, you know, sad to see Aldo go out like that. Missing weight. Almost getting the finish and looking fantastic. Because he did. He had great hand speed. He looked real good. He didn't kick as much as everybody wants him to, but he looked good. But yeah, that's the end of it for him. Now, Natalia Silva, moving on. Let's go down a little bit more. defeated Alexa Grasso, the former champion. Alexa Grasso just looked bad, if you want to be honest. Had no answer for the longer kicks of Natalia Silva. She's an interesting fight for Valentina, I think. The only problem I have with it is, like, all of Natalia Silva's best exchanges are, like, when someone's going first. And if Valentina's just going to stand there like a statue, bouncing. Not really bouncing. Like, Natalia Silva's going to have to lead. So it's an interesting proposition. You know, can Natalia Silva get in there and kick her in the face a couple times? Because, you know, she does lead. She's great at exiting at an angle. She got great kicks. So, you know, maybe it could be something. Maybe it could be an interesting fight. But I think Valentina's going to go in there and wrestle her to death. Further down the card, Benoit Saint-Denis. He's kind of bad, honestly. I did a tape study on him a while back. But now, like, you can see his striking is garbage. His hands are always down, and he's leading with his chin, getting clipped by Kyle Pripolek. His striking is just not good, guys. He doesn't throw the kicks, and you could tell he was a little bit more reserved in this fight, which is cool. But, like, give me that kick that you do, man, the open side body kick. You know, his grappling is good, and you know, he suffocated Pripolek and got the arm triangle. And at first, I thought, you know, he was trying to get off to the side, and Pripolek pushed his leg off to the side so he could finish up that arm triangle. But Ryan Wagner, shout out to the boy, Ryan Wagner pointed out, no, he didn't want him to get to mount. Oh, that makes sense. And Benoit Saint-Denis like, I'll just get this arm triangle right here. So, you know, good to see him go deeper into a second round. He was mauling Pripolek a lot. I'm not sold on him anymore, guys. I don't think he's the material, because you remember, like, he's fighting Dustin Poirier, and it was said, like, if he wins this fight, like, he's fighting Islam next, and they gave Islam the fight off of that Dustin Poirier fight after Poirier beat him in, you know, the Moicano fight and all that. So yeah, who else? Mike Malott defeated Charles Radke. Malott, you know, got embarrassed in Canada that one time, and I kind of slept on him, but he's a decent fighter, man. Radke brought it to him a little bit, and then he kind of just slipped and landed a huge overhand that put Radke out cold. Jasmine Jasudavicius, though, beat Jessica Andrade, a former champion. As you know, if the UFC wants to push somebody, you got to beat a former champion or title contender, and that's Jessica Andrade. Now, Jasudavicius, she's 35. So I wouldn't put too much stock into this, you know, the submission. I just don't think Andrade is good anymore. I think she's washed. I think also, you know, Jasmine Jasudavicius is going to struggle against Manon Fiorot, Erin Blanchfield, or even like Natalia Silva. Yeah, that's just my gut feeling on that. Modestas Bukauskas and Ian Kutlaba had a weird scorecard where both fighters had a 30-27 card. Navajo Sterling knocked out Ivan Erslan, and who could have saw that coming? Erslan's bad. Marc-Andre Barriault nearly destroyed Bruno Silva. So Bruno Silva's defending takedown, leaned over to his side, and Marc-Andre Barriault elbows him in the temple and in the head. He said dent put in his head. I don't think that was a break, they said, but went to the hospital. They showed stretched it out, and they did a really good job saying, hey, you know, this is what's going on with him. Daniel Santos beat Lee Jungyong. Santos is promising, and then Bezkat Almakan had a brutal uppercut of Brad Katona to open up the night. All in all, though, man, like, great night of fights. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not because I thought Belal Muhammad wasn't a good champion. I wanted him to lose. It was more or less because, well, yeah, that was a lot of it. Valentina's fight sucked. I was like almost falling asleep during that. Oh, man, it was so bad. Anyways, this playlist right here, Fight Finders. Episode 7 is in the works. Might be a shuffling. It might not be the boxing in the New Orleans. That's still coming. But there's a lot more to do that than I thought. So that's going to be a little bit deeper. I have another idea that I'm working on. And if it comes to fruition first, which in July is when it's supposed to come to fruition, we'll see. And we'll go from there. But yeah, this playlist, if you want to watch Fight Finders, 1 through 6 is out now.